الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. To proceed, inshallah, today I wanted to talk about one of the greatest assets of the Muslim Ummah, or probably the greatest asset of our Ummah that we have in our times. And this asset is much more valuable than the oil or the gold or the minerals or natural gas or food production or any of those things. The asset I would like to discuss today is our children. That is the greatest asset of the Muslim Ummah now. Because the older generations we're going to leave. And unfortunately, in the past century or so, they haven't done the best of jobs. But our amal, inshallah, our hopes, if we can teach our children the correct way, Allah Azza wa Jal will revive this ummah. First of all, the way that Allah Azza wa Jal, He describes the children in the Quran, He always calls them with beautiful names or beautiful tidings. Like when He told Zakaria, Ya Zakaria, inna nubashiruka bi ghulam. Bushra, the good tidings. He called the children. ومن آياته أن خلق لكم من أنفسكم أزواجا لتسكنوا إليها وجعل بينكم وبينها مودة ورحمة. In this ayat, some tafsirs, they say that from the ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from His signs in His creations, that He created from you or for you mates, your spouses. and He put between you love and mercy. Some of the tafsir, it says, the rahmah here is the awlad, the children. Al-mal wal-banuna zinatul hayat al-dunya. Allah, He calls them like the beauty of the hayat al-dunya. In Surah Al-Balad, Allah Azza wa Jalla, He says, لا أقسم بهذا البلد ووالد وما ولد لا أقسم بهذا البلد وأنت حلم بهذا البلد ووالد وما ولد. Allah is swearing by the father or the parents and the child. So Allah is giving us all these indications that the children are of great importance to us. They are a treasure for us. They are a kanz, they are an asset. So how are we going to take care of this asset? The best way to do so is to look at the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet, it's not known in any narration that I know of that he ever hit a child, be in Islam or before Islam, or that he spoke harshly to a child, or that he made a child cry. He is our qudwa. لقد كان لكم في رسول الله أسوة حسنة. You have the best message, the best character, the best example in the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this is the example we should follow. Even before the wahi, before Islam, you know the story that he had Zayd ibn Harith. You know, Zayd ibn Harith was a former slave, and he was basically under the household of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was actually from an Arab tribe, a big tribe. But he had, through the wars in Jahiliyyah, they used to take the children sometimes and sell them as slaves. So he ended up in the household of the Prophet ﷺ. His father found out about him, so his father and uncle came from far to get him back. And they went to the Prophet and he explained to them what had happened. And the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, this is before he was the Prophet actually, he said, you are of course free to take your child. On one condition, you give him the choice. So they thought, of course, why would any child choose to live with strangers? They're not from his tribe. He's living almost like a slave, etc., etc. Of course, he's going to choose his father and uncle. So they went to the child and they told him, they explained to him the situation and everything. The child, he knew that was his father. And the Prophet ﷺ said, you can go back with your family if you'd like. And he said, Wallahi la uqaddim alayka ahadan, ya Muhammad. He said, by Allah, I will never put someone above you. To the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, because of the tarbiyah that Muhammad ﷺ had. Even before the Nabuwah, this child, he had loved the Prophet so much. And we know the seerah of Zayd ibn Harith, how he became, from the great scholars and warriors of Islam. In Islam, how did the Prophet ﷺ react? He was the leader of the Ummah, the general, right? The head of state. All the problems would come to him. The head judge. He had to take care of all the disputes, all the affairs of the Muslim Ummah. And there's a famous story that one day, a child he knew was the son of Abi Talha, radiallahu anhu. His name was Umayr. And he had a pet bird. And that pet bird passed away. And the Prophet ﷺ heard about this, and he went to see this child. Imagine if you're like the head of a corporation, or you have a big business, or you're running a country, and you stop your affairs to go and visit a child. And he said, Ya Aba Umayr, ماذا فعل النغير? He had his bird, his name was Nughayr. So he's making the child feel happy. The child was very sad that he lost his pet. And the Prophet ﷺ took away from his time of the day and responsibilities to go and visit his child to make him feel better. He called him Ya Aba Umayr. That's a kunya, that's for the older people usually. But he told it to the little child. Imagine how that child felt. He's getting called by a kunya. Already his grief is starting to leave him. Right? This is how the tarbiyah of the Prophet ﷺ is teaching us how to raise the children, how to love the children, how to have mercy upon the children. There's many stories of the Prophet ﷺ holding babies and the babies actually using the bathroom upon him. And it's never reported that he would get mad or upset. Imagine you have your nice clothes on and you're in the middle of your business or something and the baby uses the bathroom and you have to go wash your clothes. But the Prophet ﷺ, he was never upset. Because he showed rahmah, he showed mercy. Every time the Prophet ﷺ, he would be walking down the street, if he saw a group of children, he would go and greet them personally and say, Assalamu alaikum. and shake their hands and wipe on their heads to show his care and concern for this ummah, the future generation of the ummah. He's raising a new generation to come after him. And he knows the importance of giving love and mercy and teaching the children correctly. In the salah, one day the Prophet ﷺ, he was in sujood. And he stayed so long in sujood after the salah. The Sahaba radiallahu anhum, they asked him, "Oh ya Rasulullah, O Messenger of Allah, what happened? Did some revelation come to you? You know, why did you stay so long in the sujood?" And he said, "No, Hassan was on my back playing and I didn't want to disturb him." This is in the salat from the greatest person in the greatest place at the greatest time, praying to Allah Azza wa Jal in the salat, yet he didn't want to disturb Hassan from playing. There's another narration that Hassan and Hussein were playing on his back while he was praying. Another narration, he was actually giving the khutbah of Jummah, and he stopped in the middle of the khutbah to go and pick up Hassan and Hussein. This is rahmah lil-alameen. وَلَوْ كُنْتَ فَضًّا غَلِيظَ الْقَلْبِ لَانْفَضُّوا مِنْ حَوْلِكَ. Right? This is to the Prophet ﷺ. Allah, he said, if you were hard and stern-hearted, the people would run away from you. To the Prophet ﷺ. So imagine us. How much more do we have to work in being merciful and having consideration? Another narration in the salat, he was praying in the sunnah, and Umayma, his granddaughter, the daughter of Zainab, she was crawling in front of him, crying. So he picked her up in the salat to take care of her so she wouldn't cry. And he kept her throughout the salat. This is the salat in Masha'ir al-Deen, from the most important affairs of the Deen. And look how the Prophet ﷺ is taking care of the kids. He didn't say, "Get out of here, what are you doing in this masjid? It's not a place of play." No, he took care of them, he was kind to them. Anas ibn Malik, radiallahu anhu, he served the Prophet ﷺ for 10 years as a servant. He was a young boy and a servant to the Prophet for 10 years. He said, the Prophet ﷺ never asked me if I did something, why did you do that? Or if I didn't do something, why didn't you do that? Can you imagine not asking a child for growing up, a young boy, why didn't you do that? Or why did you do that? For 10 years? And not only he was a young person, but he was a servant of the Prophet. He had the right, the Prophet had the right to ask him, of course. One narration that shows that he asked Anas ibn Malik to go and do something for him. And he was waiting and waiting and waiting, and Anas didn't come back. So he went out looking for him. And he found that Anas was playing with some boys. And then the Prophet said, what did he do? Did he get upset? Did he get mad? Did he scold Anas? He smiled. And he just asked Anas, you know, like, where have you been, in a sense like that, basically, in a playful manner. And then Anas realized he forgot to do what he was supposed to do, and he went and did it. This is the Prophet ﷺ, he's teaching the children to have responsibility, but he's teaching it in a good manner. There's many narrations of Abdullah ibn Umar and Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma. When they were young children, the Prophet ﷺ were teaching them some of the greatest principles of the deen. He told Abdullah ibn Umar, "Kun fi dunya ka'annaka gharib wa 'abiru sabil." Right? As a young child, he told him, be in this world as if you are a traveler or a wayfarer. You know, he took time and consideration to teach the young because he knew the young would be the future generation. Abdullah ibn Abbas, he told him, "Ya ghulam, inni u'allimuka kalimat. Ihfaz Allah yahfazak. Ihfaz Allah tajid tujahak. إذا سألت فاسأل الله واستعين فاستعين بالله. واعلم أن الأمة لو اجتمعت على أن يضروك بشيء لم يضروك بشيء إلا ما كتب الله لك. واجتمعوا على أن ينفعوك بشيء لم ينفعوك بشيء إلا ما كتب الله عليك." The young boy, he's telling us main principles of our aqidah, that if you protect the bounties of Allah, Allah will protect you. If you fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will protect you. If you ask only of Allah. Know that the whole world, if they were together to do you harm, they could do no harm to you except if Allah allowed it. If they were to get together to do you some benefit, they would not be able to benefit you except if Allah allowed it. Teaching the young child this principle of aqidah. And look how Ibn Abbas and Ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma grew up to be the scholars of the ummah because of this tarbiyah. He's teaching us to take consideration of the children's feelings. They're not just little children that will have no mind. In one narration, he saw a mother, you know, she pretends she has something in her hand, and she's calling her baby, her child, the young child. And the child is racing after the mother, trying to figure out what's in the hand. And the Prophet he asked her, "Do you have something in your hand?" And she said, "Na'am ya Rasulullah, andi tamra." He said, "Yes, O Messenger, I have a tamra." And he said, "Good. Because if you did not have nothing in your hand, it would be written with Allah Azza wa Jal as a lie. يكتب عند الله كذب. This is a child. It's not a big deal, right? No, it is, because you're teaching the child for future generations. You're going to teach him that, oh, he cheated to get something after trick another person. No, teach him right from the beginning. He's growing up to become a man. And there's many narrations the Prophet ﷺ, he took time to teach the children. When he came back from battle, after being tired and fighting and all these, long journeys and stuff like that, the first ones to greet him in the streets when he was coming back, the children. They would all go out to greet the Prophet ﷺ for their love of him, because he respected them and he taught them and he cared about them. So they loved him so much. They would always be the first to go out. And even though he was tired and coming back from this long journey and everything, he would get down from his donkey and go and sit and play with them and greet them, right, on his way to the masjid. This is the tarbiyah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And this is the example that we should try to implement in our lives. Look at Usama bin Zayd radiallahu anhu. At the age of 17, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he put him in charge of the whole Muslim army. In that army was Abu Bakr and Umar, and some of the kibar of the Sahaba radiallahu anhu. He put a 17-year-old because he was the most qualified. What is this teaching us? Not to look down upon the children, but to build them up. There's other narrations, he put young children to lead the salat for their towns because they knew the Quran the most. Teaching the respect that the deen gives for the child. One day, one child was sitting next to the Prophet ﷺ on his right side, and it's sunnah to start with the right when you're going sharing a drink or sharing food. And it's also sunnah to give to the elder, right? But this one on the right side takes precedence, it seems, because the Prophet ﷺ asked the child if he gives permission to go with the older person first. And the child said no, because he wanted to drink after the Prophet ﷺ. Look at the wisdom he had and the respect the Prophet ﷺ had for the child. Nowadays we wouldn't even consider asking the child. Of course, it's not a big deal, who cares, this is a kid. But look how the Prophet ﷺ is training the new generation to come. The sternness is, there's many studies, Muslim and non-Muslim studies, psychological studies and sociological studies that show if you teach the child through force and sternness and spanking or hitting, you're teaching him to become subservient and teaching him to become just, acting out of fear. You're not building a leader. There's many from the Salaf that used to say to the mu'addib, the one who was like the teacher of the child at a young age, teaching him adab and khalq and character, do not spank my child, asa an yakuna sayyidan. Do not hit my child, I want him to become a leader when he grows up. If you teach the child with a stick and the screaming, don't do this, do that, the child is going to not really learn and understand. He's going to grow up to be subservient, right? And just act out of fear, like if I can get something good, I'll do it. If I can't get something, I won't do it. Or if I get caught, I won't do it. But if I don't get caught, I can do it. This is not what you want to teach your child. You want to teach them the good manners and the good character. So you explain to them in a good manner as the Prophet ﷺ explained to the Sahaba. One day, Hassan radiallahu anhu, he was going to eat from the dates of sadaqah. And the Prophet ﷺ said, kikh, and he took it away from him. Right? And he said, this is something we do not eat from. We, nahnu, la nakulu minhu. Right? Because it's haram for the Ahl Bayt to eat from the sadaqat. So he was teaching the child, personally, including himself with Hassan, saying, we don't eat that. He didn't just grab it from him and scream at him and say, don't do that. He explained to him nicely in a wise way, including himself, so the child understands. And this is what we should strive to do, to explain to our children, to teach them by example, through logic, through wisdom, through love, through mercy, as the Prophet ﷺ. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us in teaching our child and to provide us with righteous children. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم واستغفروه وغفروه. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ya Rasulullah. So, what are the practical steps we can do in raising the new generation, inshallah? First, as a husband or a wife, before you become a husband and wife, choosing the right spouse. You're choosing the mother of your child. The woman is choosing the father of her child. So when they marry, select carefully and base it upon the deen. If something were to happen to you, how is your wife going to raise the child? That's what you want to consider when you're married. In the action of intercourse itself, the Prophet ﷺ told us to make the dua. Allahumma jannibni ash-shaytan wajannibna ash-shaytan ma razaqtana. Oh Allah, keep us away from the shaitan and keep the shaitan away from what you have provided us, from the children. So even before conception, you should be making dua. And also the famous dua in the Quran. هَبْ لَنَا مِنْ أَزْوَاجِنَا وَذُرِّيَّاتِنَا قُرَّةُ عَيْنٍ وَجَعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِمَامًا. Oh Allah, give us from our wives and our offspring the coolness of our eyes, the pleasure of our eyes, and let us be leaders of the righteous. So making dua constantly for them. When they are born, follow the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ and accepting them into the world. Some scholars say about making the adhan in one ear, in the right ear, and the iqamah in the left ear. Name them from the best names. Give them good names as a child, names that they're going to live up to. Be careful how you name your child. As they're growing, give them much love. As the Prophet ﷺ, there's so many narrations that he would hug and kiss and show mercy to the children. You know, one narration, he was doing it not only to his own children, but to other children. In one Arabi, Bedouin, he said, you know, I have 10 children, I never kissed one of them. And the Prophet ﷺ said, ماذا أفعل إذا نزع الله رحمة من قلبك? What should I do if Allah has taken away the mercy from your heart? So the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ is to show the love of the child, right? To show that you care about them, that they are close to you, that you respect them. A major part of their upbringing, as they're growing, you should consult with them sometimes. Show that they have an opinion in that affair, that they have some say in the matter. This will make them feel responsible and that you actually care what they think. The most important thing that you can do for the child is teach them the religion, the deen. Not just the theory, but the practice. You know, show them how to offer salat correctly, how to give zakat, to give sadaqah sometimes, how to seek knowledge. You know, make a halaqah in your home and have knowledge as a part of your regular activities with the family. Teach them the Quran and the Sunnah, to love Allah Azza wa Jalla, to love the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Sahaba radiallahu anhu, reading stories from the lives of the Prophet, the lives of the companions. Give them responsibilities, household responsibilities and even financial responsibilities, to teach them that they are growing adults. You know, sometimes we baby the children too much, to the point when they become adults, they don't know nothing about society, they don't know how to function, they don't know anything about finance, they don't know anything about responsibility. Everything was done for them. You don't want to do that either. You know, show them the love, show them the mercy, but at the same time, give them responsibility, mas'uliyah. Teach them that they are going to be the future of the ummah. What can you do to save this ummah? What can you do to bring back the izzah, the honor of the ummah? Spend quality time with them. And quality time does not mean just sitting with them watching TV together, or let them play video games while you do your work in the same room. That's not quality time. Quality time is actually talking with each other, going out with each other. Let them see the nature. Let them learn with you. Let them study with you. Use beneficial stuff. The social media, the TV, and video games, and these distractions are killing the hearts of the ummah, of the youth of the ummah, the future of the ummah. You know, save them from that poison. One of the greatest gifts Allah Azza wa Jalla has given you is the child. Because if you raise him correctly, he will make dua for you even after you're gone. And if you do not raise him correctly, he will be a punishment for you on the Day of Judgment. Right? If you did not try your best and do your best to teach him the correct way, you're responsible for that. He will go before Allah Azza wa Jalla and complain that you didn't teach him the correct way. Or the daughter, you never taught her the correct way. All of a sudden she gets older, now you want to start telling her to wear hijab and do this and do that. But where were you throughout her life when she was growing up? So make it, inshallah, a goal today, moving forward, that you're going to raise a new generation that will help revive the ummah. How can you do that? What should you teach them? How can you spend time to them? ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. اللهم اقسم لنا من خشيتك ما تحول به بيننا وبين معصيتك، ومن طاعتك ما تبلغ بها جنتك، ومن يقين ما تهون علينا مصائب الدنيا، ومتعنا بأسماعنا وأبصارنا وقواتنا أبدا ما أحيتنا، واجعل ثأرنا على من ظلمنا وانصرنا على من عادانا، ولا تجعل الدنيا أكبر همنا ولا مبلغ علمنا، ولا تسلط علينا بذنوبنا من لا يخافك فينا ولا يرحمنا. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. فاذكروا الله يذكركم واشكروه ولا تكفروه. أقيموا إلى صلاة يرحمني ويرحمكم الله.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
Straighten the lines and fill the gaps. Don't leave space between each other for the shaitan. وصلوا صلاة المودع. Pray as if it is your last salah, your last prayer. Allahu Akbar. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. سبح اسم ربك الأعلى الذي خلق فسوى والذي قدر فهدى والذي أخرج المرعى فجعله غثاء أحوى سنقرئك فلا تنسى إلا ما شاء الله إنه يعلم الجهر وما يخفى ونيسرك لليسرى فذكر إن نفعت الذكرى سيذكر من يخشى ويتجنبها الأشقى الذي يصلى النار الكبرى ثم لا يموت فيها ولا يحيا قد أفلح من تزكى وذكر اسم ربه فصلى بل تؤثرون الحياة الدنيا والآخرة خير وأبقى إن هذا لفي الصحف الأولى صحف إبراهيم وموسى. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. والزيتون وطور سينين وهذا البلد الأمين لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون فما يكذبك بعد بالدين أليس الله بأحكم الحاكمين. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
السلام ورحمة الله. أستغفر الله أستغفر الله أستغفر الله التواب الرحيم. اللهم أنت السلام وأنت السلام تبارك وتعالى.